HMRC's requirement to correct has now finished. Anyone wishing to disclose overseas interests and matters needed to do so and register by 30th of September 2018.
We now have the second wave countries already exchanging information to HMRC under the Common Reporting Standard. So we need to think about how HMRC are actually going to use this information in practice.
So given the requirement to correct has now finished, and with all this information being exchanged automatically under CRS, what will the revenue be doing now?
Well, I think in the very near future we'll see a lot more campaign activity, investigations, what HMRC called nudge letters, actually using the information to try and get taxpayers to come forward, and if not, they will be investigated.
There's a whole host of reasons, in my view, why somebody should still consider voluntarily disclosing to HM Revenue and Customs. One of those reasons relates to penalties, and if you come forward voluntarily, you always stand a better chance of negotiating a slightly lower penalty. That applies across the board. Under the failure to correct penalty regime, there is scope, however, for HMRC to apply what's called an asset-based penalty. And that can amount to 10% of your asset base, which is quite distinct from the tax-geared penalties, and in some cases that could be quite severe.
Many people come to us and say, is it an automatic 200% penalty, which is obviously what many people were talking about under requirement to correct before the failure to correct period started. But actually, there's quite a few areas where you can get mitigation on that 200%, isn't there, from the legislation?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, the 200% is very much a kind of a worst case scenario. You know, that's the maximum. The revenue come down from that. But let's not forget also, in the context of penalties, there exists the scope for reasonable excuse. If a taxpayer has a reasonable excuse, then no failure to correct penalties under the requirement to correct regime will even apply.
So I think the main point to take going forward is that we're expecting quite a bit of debate, aren't we, and controversy about how the failure to correct regime is going to be applied in practice. And actually, if you have doubts or you need specialist advice, do contact us.